Oh hey, I've been working on that growth chart for the past week and a half. If you guys want to see how I made it, watch this video. I think you'll enjoy it. Hey, what do you want? It was getting hot in the shop. So you're going to want to square off one side of your favorite board. In this case, I'm using a 1x8. You're going to want to flip that board head over heels, measure exactly 6 feet. That will give you 6.5 feet of total usable height for your extra tall friends. I'll show you how to measure that up later on in this video. You're going to want to cut that just like that. Cool. Next, you're going to want to cradle your piece on top of one of these foam or rubber perforated mats. I got this from the inside of my toolbox. Just give it a nice pencil mark because we're going to be sanding this down to 120. You're going to want to get yourself a high quality respirator. This one's made by RZ. Awesome stuff. Highly recommend it. This is critical for this next step. I'm not going to make you watch this whole sanding process. We're just going to skip to the good part here, which is filling in the holes with some of this wood filler. This is subjective. You don't necessarily have to fill in holes or knots like I'm doing here. It gives it character. You can do whatever you want. You're going to want to sand that down to a final finish because this next step involves scraping the paint off of my ruler before we do anything else here. Let's let this guy finish what he's doing. Okay, so you're going to want to measure every single inch, obviously, all the way up to as high as your growth chart goes. In this case, it's 6.5 feet. So as you might be able to see, I'm setting the ruler at 6 inches. Can you guess what that's for? Yeah, you're going to set this growth chart 6 inches from the floor. That's where it starts. So yeah. Next, you're going to want to not skip this step because you're going to have to mark 1/8 of an inch on each side of that inch line and scribe it because we're going to be burning it. Moving on to the more important stuff. We'll just skimp through this part here. Essentially what I'm trying to show you guys here is to leave the foot marks a little bit longer than the inch marks just to make it look a little bit prettier. So I have this really neat template which I will scribe the numbers through, in which I will be burning those in. And here's a really cool trick that I learned. After you scribe these numbers with these stencils, which have those little connecting pieces there up top, as you can see, you're going to want to erase that and connect the lines to make it look more authentic. Now here's the fun part. You're going to want to grab your favorite burning tool and burn away all 78 inches. Wow, that's a lot. So I sped this up so you guys can see me in high-speed action, but this process took around 2.5 hours. And you want to go pretty dark on these, as you will be sanding off the pencil marks, and with that you will also be sanding off some of the burnt wood, so you might have to touch up some of what you already burnt. What the heck is going on here? No, this is subjective as per preference. In this case, we opted to go with a 5/16 Romanagi detail all around the front edge of the piece. You don't necessarily have to use this. You can just do a round over, or even just a light sanding to knock down the corners. So the backside took the round over treatment, just to knock down those rough, sharp edges. And we'll just give this a light pass to knock off those burrs. Yeah, and don't forget to clean up your mess. Okay, man, let's skip this part. We don't need to watch this. Oh, that was a cool trick. I'm going to put that in there. There's my branding logo. Pretty cool, huh? What do you guys think? Okay, we're going to use some gunstock Varathane stain for this unit. You're going to want to mix that thoroughly and apply it liberally, because we're going to go back and wipe off the excess after a few seconds. 15 or 20 seconds should be just fine. Alright, and here comes the final process. We're gonna treat this with a clear polyurethane finish. Just a basic wipe-on poly varnish. You can pick that up at any local hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Canadian Tire, Rona, wherever you're located. Most of these hardware stores carry this brand. Minwax Wipe-On Poly is what it's called, if you're curious. This one's a clear gloss finish. I'm going to be waiting about 2 hours, and I'm going to come back and sand it down with a 300 or 600 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to reapply one more coat, and that should be suffice for this particular project. And yes, if you're wondering, you can still write on it with this finish. obviously, because you're going to be wanting to write on the heights of your kids or your neighbors or you. So as you can see, when you burn wood, there's always going to be a slight discoloration of the wood. That's just due to the characteristics of the type of wood you're using. But it makes it look authentic. It's not a clear, perfect finish, but it looks great, in my opinion. Alright, so there you have it. That is the basic method of making a growth chart. As you can see, pretty straightforward. No real snags on the project. And if this guy would just leave already and go and hang the chart for somebody, that'd be great. Okay. So if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing, leaving a like and or a comment, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget to check out my other videos.